going, everyone? This is Precisely Podcast, a podcast about beer and video games. I'm your host, Bo, and with me, as always, we got the one, the only, the person that brings all the insects and fish to the museum in Animal Crossing. Kelly, how are you?
I am excellent. How are you?
I am doing well, and we have a very, very special guest today, Greg, aka Game Changer Mods. How are you doing, dude?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Doing great. Happy to have you on.
Definitely.
We have loads of questions for you because you just came out and published a book or got a book published called Gameboy Modding, a beginner's guide to Game Boy mods, collecting history, and more.
Yeah, I'm glad
And
you
I am
got a
loving it.
copy.
Yeah, I just got it today in the mail, but you're kind enough to send us the electronic ebook of it, and we were both able to read a bunch. I think Kelly read all of it, right, Kelly?
I did. I read it last night and I finished it today. It was good and very informative. Very, very informative.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's such a good book. And the physical copy just feels good in the hand too. Like really,
Yeah, I think
really
it came
enjoying
out.
it.
Right.
But before we get to the book, let's talk about beer since we are a beer podcast as well. What are you drinking on, Greg?
I am drinking on a Dogfish Head Sunday Feels Beer Mosa Sour.
Ooh.
And
That sounds
yeah,
good.
it's pretty fruity, and I guess it's supposed to be like a mimosa or something like that.
Does it taste like
But
one?
it does. Yeah, it does. I usually don't go for their beers because they're sometimes just a little bit too crafty, I feel like, but this one called out to me.
Okay. Yeah, I have to be in the mood for a sour. Usually like a hot summer day gets me in the mood.
Yeah.
I've been on the IPA kick, but is it sour? Like are your
I would say yeah, it's a 7.
Okay. On the sour scale.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And Kelly, what are you drinking on?
I have here it's called Hazy Little Giant. It's by Roy Pitts. I saw this so I went to get my groceries last week on my bi-weekly grocery trip, and I saw this and it called out to me from the shelves because this is the first I can't say ever, but like as far as I know in Pennsylvania, the first ever like craft beer collaboration between a brewing company and a grocery store.
Oh, so
Because
it's actually
it
Giant
it
branded.
is for Giant. Yep. It has the can art is Giant is a grocery store in our area.
Oh.
The can art has a handful of hops, and then it has underneath it says Hazy Little, and then it says Giant in like their branded lettering.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. Roy Pitts is a brewery that I'm familiar with. It's out of Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, which wasn't too far from where I went to college. So I've been there a couple times, and they make some really good brews. But this is an IPA, and it is a 5.5%, and I think it's a pretty, well balanced IPA. It's not anything crazy. It's not too hoppy. It's not too fruity. It's just an IPA.
Okay, cool. I love the collaboration. I'm
That's all
drinking
it needs to
on yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just an IPA. I'm
Just basic.
drinking on pretty much a basic IPA, as all Pennsylvanians know. Trogue's Perpetual IPA. Going
Classic.
going pretty basic. Weighs in at a 7.5%, but it's a solid hoppy IPA. So cheers to everyone.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
So Greg, we have a bunch of questions after reading the book, but I sort of want to get into your background. When did you start your Instagram page? Because it's blowing up now.
I started it probably 3 years ago in June.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, it blew up quick. I guess I did something right. I don't know. I guess I just gamed the system. It just feels like a video game. The way you play Instagram is just
Yeah, for sure. The more you play it, the more followers you get.
yeah,
But you also
just
have to have good pictures too, and
yeah.
you have great pictures, and you're taking pictures of great things that you're making.
Oh, thanks.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
but I think it's cool that there's a lot of people out there who appreciate those pictures. Um, that's the real sort of fun thing behind it, obviously.
yeah, for sure. Um, so in your book, you talked a bit about how you got into modding and your first mod. You bought a Game Boy lot off of eBay and wanted to do some cosmetic swapping. What all did you end up doing on your first mod, and what was the experience like?
um, I didn't do one. I did five.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it went as well as anything does the first time. If you do five of them, a couple of them will be good, a couple of them will be average, it'd be bad one or two, and then I just like I said, yeah, like I put them on eBay and eventually they sold, and that was like a very heartening experience. I remember being in despair because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this and blah blah blah, telling people, and they were like, so how's this Game Boy thing going? And I was like, it's over, it sucks, because they were just kind of sitting on eBay.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think you really found your craft and your niche, and aesthetically, like, you're making beautiful Game Boys. Like, you have your own style with it,
Oh,
and
thanks.
I really appreciate it. I bought a Game Boy off of you probably over a year ago. There was a collaboration piece with another artist. I'm not sure who the artist was, but they did the shell. It was like a custom painted purple, like sort of spray painty, uh, pastel-y colored shell, with a front lit Game Boy Color.
Yeah,
And I love it. I think it was one of your earlier mods that you did.
yeah, that's
I'm not sure if you're
Misery Cat did the shell painting on that, I guess.
okay. Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with her work, but I mean, yeah, she does beautiful paint jobs, and she does custom switches and stuff too.
Her work is really it's really cool because it's got that like uh 80s 90s retro wave kind of vibe to it that makes it look really cool when they put it on any kind of console or handheld.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty
Yeah, I
perfect.
love that.
That's a
All
rare
right,
piece,
so
though.
oh man, look at you, Bo.
All right. I
That's a
like
one of a
rare.
kind work of art, rare piece. Definitely hold on to that forever.
I will.
I'm totally
I
serious.
hold
Yeah.
on to all my Game Boys. I cannot sell a Game Boy for the life of me because I'm like, no, it means so much to me. And I probably have, I don't know, Kelly, you probably have more Game Boys than me, but I probably
Yeah,
have like 20 altogether.
Wow.
yeah, I
You
think I have
know?
more Game Boys than you.
Yeah. It's insane. It's like you got to catch them all in the sense. It's like, well, I
Right.
don't have that
Totally.
color yet, you know?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel that. Greg, you talked about how you started out loving the Game Boy in your book, and you got one as a kid, and you were saying like basically it ended up being like superior to you compared to your PS1 and your NES because you could game on the go, and it was like fitting in with your lifestyle. So, is the Game Boy your favorite handheld, or is there a different handheld that's the favorite to play?
No, the Game Boy is not my favorite handheld. I have two favorite handhelds.
Hmm.
All right.
Okay.
uh, I think the DS Lite is like such a beautifully designed thing. It's so much
Uh-huh.
fun to
Wow.
play, and there's so many such cool games for it. And I also think the PSP is one of my favorite consoles of any format, and that has an excellent library too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, those are, also I'm like a PlayStation guy. Like that's the system I had when I was 16 and obsessed with,
Hmm.
and
Mhm.
both of those handhelds are just basically handheld PlayStations. So
Yeah, that's true. And you're right, the DS Lite, I agree, it's super cool because I remember my sister getting one when we were younger, and I played the crap out of it because you could, play your DS games, but then also you could throw in your Game Boy Advance games and you could play two whole different libraries on one
yeah,
system, which was
it's pretty
crazy.
amazing. I mean, yeah, I mean that feature alone makes it like one of the best consumer electronics of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That's one thing that I love about Nintendo, that they've always, for the most part, have had some sort of backwards compatibility with their systems and handhelds and all that. I
Yeah, but
think it
just
makes
on the
Nintendo's,
DS Lite to just like sort of add it in when the format was totally different was just like,
yeah, completely different cartridge base and
yeah,
stuff. But it's sort of similar to the GameCube to the Wii, that you can play GameCube games on a Wii,
true. Yeah.
you know, completely different disc size, but still works even better, honestly, than the GameCube. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the PSP. I've actually just got a modded one recently from PSP Guru on Instagram, and he had like a really cool shell that was custom made by someone and put on like 60 of my favorite games that I've wanted to play for a long time, but don't feel like plugging in a CRT TV and a PS1. Just sort of want to play it portably. So I'm playing Final Fantasy VII for the first time ever
Yeah.
and absolutely loving it.
I played that on
Um,
PSP.
y-
It's awesome.
yeah, it's great. It's perfect for it. It's very small at some points when the cameras spanned out, but
Yeah.
besides that, it's great.
Yeah.
So, what's your favorite handheld to mod then? I'm guessing it's a
Um,
Game Boy, like
it's yeah,
DMG.
yeah, exactly, for sure. I mean, you really feel like you're doing something when you go in there and mod it up like that. And it's just kind of the coolest design, I guess. It's definitely the most iconic. It feels good in the hands, and it's also got like a sort of larger face where you can put more sort of graphics and different things like that.
Okay. So, in the inside of like a DMG to a Game Boy Pocket to a Game Boy Color, does it really like change that much?
No, it's
Like the
actually
motherboard and stuff?
they all have a lot in common. I mean, that's kind of the thing I tried to impart to people in the book is like, you know, if you figure out one, you'll generally have a concept of not only how Game Boys work, but just how these kinds of electronics work. They're all very sort of similar. And also, I don't know if you saw the section in the book talking about the lateral thinking of withered technology. Um,
Yeah.
and other handhelds like Wonder Swan and cell phones, they're all very very sort of similar inside, and they're not
Hmm.
really intimidating or anything once you get to know them, I think.
I think you did a
Okay.
good job in the book, like even though you have a different section for each system of like kind of putting it together and showing you that it is almost essentially the same thing because they all have similar parts in just in a different encasement, I guess.
Yeah, I tried to sort of organize it uh, in this sort of way where if you do read it back to front, like it's interesting to sort of learn how people are reading the book and approaching it. But if you just start on page one and go through and then sort of look through the mods and what it gives you a more you get familiar with things sort of in order. That's kind of the way I tried to lay it out, so that by the time you're opening up like the Pokemon Mini, you realize that it's basically just a tiny Game Boy on the inside, and you've been here before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it did come across that way too. I mean, you started with the DMG and you worked through, so you could also kind of see the progression. Inadvertently, you could see the progression that Nintendo made with
Oh,
inside
totally.
parts and how things move around. Because you're like, oh, I saw this in the last model, but this one's a little bit different. Like they upgraded
Yeah,
this or they did that. So it's cool that you can like kind of lay that out. And if you do read it, cover to cover, you do see that like little movement down the line, which is cool.
yeah, that's totally definitely true.
So
Yeah.
you got something, Bo?
Yeah, I was surprised, like just scanning through the book today. I was surprised that the Pokemon Mini was in it. I was like, oh wow, he even covers this. Like, literally, this is so cool. Like, you really just spell everything out in this book, um, for an idiot to read, and learn and feel comfortable after reading a section to be like, yeah, I can do this.
I
I'm
mean,
loving it.
that's so great to hear. Obviously that was my goal. Um, yeah, I mean, honestly, as a Game Boy modder, you get asked a lot of questions like, "Hey, do you do DS mods or do you do PSP mods or something like that?" And
Mm-hmm.
if you'll notice, the book is strictly almost sort of the official Game Boy line. Like DS is not a Game Boy; it's a
Yeah.
DS.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um, but also, Pokemon Mini's not a Game Boy either. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was tricky, especially like the book. It takes a while to come out, obviously, and there's been a lot of technological advancements and new types of mods coming out that I got a chance to touch on them, but I didn't really do full tutorials for a lot of this newer stuff. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I did have to make those sort of like calls on what to include. But the Pokemon Mini is just so cool; it's kind of a no-brainer, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is cool.
I was looking to buy one probably a year ago, and luckily I talked myself out of it because there really just aren't that many games for it.
Right?
But it's a cool system either
Yeah.
way. Like, I just love mini systems. Just anything that you can fit in your pocket and bring out when you got 3 to 10 minutes to spare. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So you covered modding the Game Boys and all the different styles, the DMGs, pockets, colors, Game Boy Advance, and the Pokemon Mini in the book. Have you tried or successfully modded any other consoles and handhelds?
Yeah. The one I like to do is the Neo Geo Pocket. And
Hmm.
again, when
Mm.
you go inside, it's almost the same as a Game Boy in there. But
Okay.
I don't know. Have you ever played that? Any of the games on those? They're really fun handhelds.
Yeah, I have one that it's super super fun, but I can see how like just generally thinking they're kind of similar to begin with in a lot of ways, so I could see how the interior would kind of have some similar parts.
Yeah, but the Neo Geo has that click wheel thing.
Mhm.
That's one of the greatest little. I don't know the way they make that feel. People want it. People want. Sometimes people ask me if I can put that clicker wheel onto a Game Boy.
Oh,
That'd be interesting.
have you?
No, I definitely haven't. I'm sure someone out there could figure out how,
Okay.
but
That'd
That's
be cool.
cool. Yeah, that is a cool like piece on there. It just gives you like an extra little thing while you're playing to kind of put you in the game itself.
yeah,
Have you ever modded a Wonder Swan? Like,
no,
do a backlit or frontlit?
I
No.
I Lord knows I tried. I mean, I I wanted to include Wonder Swan and Neo Geo Pocket tutorials in this book. That was my original plan a long time ago.
Hmm.
It never came to pass, obviously, but yeah, I did definitely at one point have about 20 Wonder Swans, and I was like, I'm ready to break all of these trying to figure it out.
Oh boy.
Because yeah, because unlike even like the Neo Geo, you could go on retro modding and stuff, and there's parts available for it, and you can just use Game Boy backlights for it. But
Hmm.
there's no dedicated like WonderSwan modding real parts really available, so it's a little bit more of like a hacking in there kind of thing.
Okay.
So yeah, I never really completed the project.
Yeah, I would love a backlit WonderSwan. That's one system that I enjoy collecting for and learning about new games and stuff. I just picked up Mr. Driller for it, and I wish I had a way to see it at night.
Yeah,
But yeah.
it's another really awesome
So
little system. Yeah,
yeah, it really is. I wish, there was like English patches for all the games.
right,
Like I
right.
wish I could play Final Fantasy 1 and 2 on it, without having to learn Japanese. But yeah, maybe it'll force me to learn Japanese. We'll see.
You got time.
Yeah. So when I touched on this, but when I looked at your Instagram page, it seems that your Game Boys like really stand out from other people's modded Game Boys. It feels like there's a style, an aesthetic, and you understand color theory and what looks good together. Do you consider your mods a craft or more so an art piece?
That's interesting. I consider them a craft. Um, Even this book, I consider it like sort of like a knitting book or something like that kind of sort of craft DIY. You know what I'm talking about?
I can see that. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I can see that. Yeah. It's
it'll be
just
on shelves at Michael's.
Yeah,
yeah, you're doing electronics though. But
yeah,
it is knitting in the sense, yeah.
right. So, but I I never did really see them as an artistic expression until recently because really all you're doing is you do the mod and then you change up the colors and it's cool. It's almost like um, a pair of Nikes or something. You just put some cool color combos together. It's not that hard. A lot of
Exactly.
people, yeah, a lot. And the other thing is that the people who are making these materials, like if you go to Retromodding's website and you look at their like range of colors, they all go well together. Like they're designed to sort of be cool to begin with.
Okay.
I don't manufacture these shells or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm mixing paints like Van Gogh to make some beautiful yellow color or something like that.
No, but you're mixing button colors to the shell color to, if it's a backlit screen color,
It takes an
like
eye, yeah,
it does take an eye. And
but
I think you have that eye.
I'm excited now because I don't know if you saw on the Instagram how we've been doing these like UV printed the graphics directly onto the Game Boy front.
Yes, and I love it. And that was going to be my next question is how the hell are you doing that?
It's UV printing technology. I mean, I don't know too much about it, but um, it cures ink with UV rays as opposed to heat and dryness or something like that, and that's basically how it gets that more permanent bond to the plastic. I mean, I guess it basically is a printer. It's just a printing technology.
So are you using the sun then
Oh
or like a UV
no, no.
light?
Um, there would be sort of an industrial printer with all the lights and things inside. That's what retromodding does. That's who we get them printed with, and we
Okay.
basically do the layout or the design in Photoshop, and we have a template for it, and then we send it to them and work out the tweak the finer points of it, and then they put it on their printer bed. I mean, it looks cool. Sometimes if you go to their page, sometimes they show videos of it. It looks very futuristic, like
Okay, so
sweeping light and things.
they're sending you the actual shells with the prints already on them then.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. We don't.
But you're designing the prints and the layout on how it
Yeah,
looks with
yeah.
Photoshop. Okay, yeah, that's awesome.
So
Well,
it's
I need a
cool. Like,
precisely Game Boy.
yeah.
I
Well,
need our
that's what
logo on a DMG. Yeah.
Dude, that would be
that's
dope.
what we're trying to do. Yeah, and obviously COVID is slowing things down, but like that was a big sort of marketing idea that I had for this book was to reach out to YouTubers and people and just be like, you know, your logo would look great on a Game Boy. I mean, that's like a sort of business angle that we're pushing, for bands or something like that. If who wouldn't want their logo on a Game Boy with like custom color design? It's the sickest thing ever, basically.
Yeah,
That's
so
so cool.
dope. I
Oh my
need
god.
that. I need that right now.
Could you imagine though, like going to a concert or like if you worked
uh
for a giant like Fortune 500 company and like going to some sort of conference and they're handing out like the goodies and it's the logo on a Game Boy, like
uh
that'd be
I would
Yeah,
go
it's
crazy
up
like
cool.
there like wearing different hats, being like, "Yeah, I didn't get one yet," Different person here.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
it's like the final thing. The concept is not that unique. It's like you can get pens or cups
Yeah.
or T-shirts. Well, so now we're doing it on Game Boys, basically.
Yeah.
Hell
But
yeah.
anyway, kind of bringing it back to what you were saying is that now that we're able to do that, I do feel that the Game Boy is a canvas where I can express myself artistically now, and
Yeah.
the possibilities are sort of limitless. And I mean, now I think it's an exciting opportunity to really do something cool and innovative and totally unique.
Absolutely. And you know, you could actually do your comics, since you are an illustrator, like on top of the Game Boy if you wanted to, and really
Yes,
make it an art piece in
Nice.
that sense.
exactly.
Yeah. So for the listeners of this podcast, some of the UV printed Game Boys that I remember off the top of my head from you is a Mother 2, my
Yeah,
favorite video game, Earthbound. That's a beautiful one. I want that one as well. Uh Eminem.
love the Eminem one. Yeah,
You Yeah, I love the Eminem one. You did a Wu-Tang one. Was
That
that
was
yep,
UV
cool.
printed?
yep.
What are some other ones?
Hello Kitty one is very popular.
Oh
We're
yeah.
really big fans of our Cornholio. Um, the Game Gear lookalike one people really liked.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Um
they're all very cool.
yeah. So Bo was saying earlier that he had that collaboration modded Game Boy from you. I know that we both have modded Game Boys from other artists as well. And then
Mhm.
you talked about and featured other modders in your book, which is super cool. And we like talked about Mitsukat a little bit earlier. But it's cool to see like them in the book and what their takes are on modding as well, like a short little blip. So besides her, have you collaborated with like any other artists on mods, and how was that?
It's always a pleasant experience. Yeah, I'm not too good at really painting sometimes, and other people can maybe just have better tools for it or something. But we've done a bunch, yeah, and it's always fun. It's always pretty chill with people.
That's good. Yeah, I like her stuff. That like I've seen her do. It's cool. I've seen some of the other modders in your book as well, like their work as well. It's really cool, and the fact that you guys could kind of come together and work on a piece seems like a meeting of the minds on a Game Boy, basically.
I mean, yeah, it's always
Yeah.
whatever you do. It's always fun to collab with someone else.
That's
I
right.
agree. It makes this podcast go by a
Yep.
lot easier with someone else hosting with me.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Callie. So, where do you sell most of your Game Boys? Where can people find you besides Instagram? I guess Etsy would be it, but is there other locations that people can find your Game Boys?
Etsy is our main sales venue, and I wanna start moving into more, I guess, unorthodox or unexpected places with them, um, because,
What do you mean?
well, I mean, I think it's bigger than just gamers, and
Yes.
it's as much a style accessory or a fashion accessory as it is
Hmm.
something that people will actually game on. And I think it could find a home in a place like that sells streetwear or something. Like, around New York City, there's small brands that have one store and they sell, purple hoodies. And I mean, I think Game Boys can fit right next to them, and you wouldn't expect it because it's not a video game store. But I think there's more areas where people are into this kind of thing, but they're not really following retro gaming hashtags on Etsy or Instagram, so they don't quite know about it.
Yeah, I see that for sure.
Hmm.
I feel like especially the Game Boy itself is just an iconic image, and so many people can relate to it
Yeah,
depending on what year they were born,
right.
like some people will see an original Game Boy being like, "Oh, fuck yeah, like I remember Mario Land and Zelda and Kirby and all that." Like, yeah, I think that's a great idea to talk to some local stores and streetwear stores, or if there's like a graffiti shop or something that
Right.
sells spray paint, like totally. That's super smart, actually.
Yeah, we've had a lot of success selling them on Vapor 95. It's I don't know if, for lack of a better word, it's like a hype beast website where they sell hoodies and
Yeah.
vaporwave type aesthetic vibes and shit like that. But it's mostly gear and posters or something, or pins. Um, but we put our Game Boys on there, and people wanted them, and it's not really like a totally dedicated retro gaming space, but it is an aesthetic that people are drawn to.
Or
Absolutely. It's like you said earlier, it's sort of like a Nike shoe where,
Right.
you're rocking all pink outfit, hoodie and pants that are pink, and you're like, "Well, let me rock my pink Game Boy too so
Yep.
I can get that
Exactly.
nice picture." Yeah.
that's true. I can definitely see that. So, about how many hours a week do you say you would say you spend on working on modding?
It's a full-time job.
Yeah, yeah,
Is
I
that
believe
40
that.
hours then?
But yeah, 40 hours. I mean, the physical mods, you get pretty efficient at them after a while. And I do work with my brother. We run Game Changer mods together. Um,
Okay.
so
Cool.
we both take our sort of share of doing the mods and stuff like that. But there's a whole other side of the business that needs to be run and stuff like that. And obviously, with the book out, there's a lot of emails to answer.
I bet, but
I
you're good at
believe.
it.
I
I mean,
believe it.
you answered my direct message to be on this podcast right away, so thank you. You're
Everyone,
doing
listen.
well, Greg. You're doing well.
I just want to say, everyone, feel free to hit me up, but don't ask me questions about modding that are in the book, and don't ask me shit that you can just find out on Google, because I'm not going to answer you.
Yeah. So when
It,
it comes to modding, it seems like the pictures that you take, you're doing like 5 to 10 Game Boys at a time, is that right? You're
yeah, I do
not
them
like
in
just
batches.
dedicating. Yeah. So that's smart. I mean, that's efficient then too, because it's like, well, I got this tool out right now, so let me take the shells off of all these.
Yeah, it, it, it's
I
uh, it's easy to bang them out if you got the assembly line going.
Yeah, super smart. So what gets you into your creative zone to work on modding?
Well, I have to be as sober as possible for doing the mods, obviously, but
Damn, I can't mod.
it can get in the way. But yeah, you do want to be sober for doing the mods. Don't operate heavy machinery or sharp objects. Or worst case scenario, you're just gonna fuck up your Game Boy. So, but
Yep.
I do. I like standard artistic vibe. What do they call it? Lubricants. You know what I mean?
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
Do
down
you
for.
are you like full focus on your modding when you mod, or do you have like a TV show in the background, or
I've always got YouTube on pretty much.
okay. Talking about YouTube, you
Yeah.
do a vlog.
Yeah.
Uh is that a daily vlog
Uh,
or every other day?
it's there's no schedule, but I would say that it is a daily vlog that sometimes takes off some days.
I love it. I don't always watch them. I don't usually watch YouTube videos, but if I'm like going through my stories in the morning and I see you're like, oh, just posted a new vlog, swipe up, I'll swipe up and I'll watch it because it's like what, 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
And they're super funny. Like they're great. The one
Thanks.
about the pink eye, I was dying. I was like, this was the greatest short story I've ever seen on YouTube. Like
I'm
this is
so
amazing.
glad that you know, obviously when you put that out there, you're like gritting your teeth a little bit, but it got such a positive response from everybody. Was very vocal about it, and everyone seemed to really enjoy it. So I'm glad I pushed the button on that one.
Dude, it was so good. I don't know, Kelly, have you ever watched any of Greg's vlogs?
Um, I might have seen one. I don't usually watch, like you said, I don't watch too much YouTube, but now I think I'm gonna have to make an exception and watch some of these tonight.
It's so good, and especially like during, this quarantine time,
Quarantine.
just like quarantine, yeah, just coined that. It's great to like just see like a major city that you live in, New York,
Yeah.
how people are interacting with each other and how somebody from New York being you is, going through their daily life and seeing what they're seeing through their lens.
Yeah, well, the it was supposed to be a little bit more Game Boy focused at first. I haven't put too much Game Boy content on there lately, just because I felt like it was getting a little redundant. But um, it did turn into a little bit more of like, hey, this is the city and this is what it's like here right now, which I think is important, because I actually noticed something today that where are you guys? You're in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia or something?
Harrisburg, capital of PA.
Like 2 hours away from Philly.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, well, in the bodegas, my point is that everyone is sort of going through coronavirus around the world. It's not like nine
Yeah.
11 where it's like a New York thing.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that there are still interesting things that are unique to everyone's situation. Like around here, I noticed today that uh, like the bodegas, like the delis, um, they've all been putting up this sort of plastic shield in front of the counter.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes it's just made out of like clear tape or something like that, but they're putting up these sort of weird barriers everywhere. And
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean that's happening by you too. I guess that's a sort of a normal thing now.
Yeah. It's in
Yeah.
our grocery stores. I've seen like a plastic shield in front of the cashier and stuff like that. I mean, it's a little, I guess,
At the
probably
gas stations.
a little bit
Yeah,
more
yeah,
high upper scale, I guess, because it's a
right.
chain
I just think
store
there's
rather
some
than a
sort of
bodega.
yeah. The bodegas have this special sort of charming way that they all do it. That's kind of interesting.
But that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it's weird. Actually the gas station that I go to every other day to get coffee before work, they took theirs down. So I don't know if it like fell
Hmm.
down or if they're like, well, fuck it, but the guy behind the counter is wearing a mask now, but I don't have to wear a mask going in there. I'm like just picking up coffee. Like he's not like an asshole being like, "Oh, where's your mask?" Like he sees me all the time. He's like, "All right, whatever. Like I know this guy." But there are some places that won't let you in if you don't have a
Yeah.
mask on, which, is fine. It's just like you know what place to wear it and what place you don't have to. Like I find it sort of being a hassle sometimes. Like in my mind, I'm like, if I'm going to get sick, I'm going to get sick, whatever, like it's my own fault. But either way,
Okay, interesting take. Interesting take.
Yeah,
Hot
it's
COVID
fine.
take.
Hot COVID takes.
All right, Greg. So you talked about having a graveyard of Game Boys and parts in your book. How often do you come across a console or something that you find, from eBay or whatever, that can't be saved and has to be taken to the graveyard?
Uh, well, I think that my standards are a little bit uh, lower. I think there are. I think I might have disposed of some Game Boys here and there that were fixable. That if someone put a little more time and effort, they could have fixed them. But
Hmm.
sometimes, if you have a lot of orders, you just have to kind of get on to the next one.
Yeah, that
Um,
makes sense.
but the really remarkable thing is that it doesn't happen that often. These things are really, really durably built. I mean, most of them are 30 plus years old and went like, around, So like the
Yeah.
fact that they're still really kicking is kind of remarkable every time I go to open one up.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know I have my Game Boy Color that I had got when I was a kid, and I still have it, and it works perfectly. The only thing is the speaker occasionally goes in and out. And it's like I know what I did as a kid, and I know I probably wasn't as kind to it as I would be now. So thinking about that thing got dragged around with me everywhere for, you know, 10 years or whatever is crazy that it's still working the way it is right now.
It's cool to see also that um, like talking about the speaker, if you sort of look at them and look at the shells and the different like sort of the progress, like sort of what you were saying, the refinements earlier, um,
Mhm.
you can see if you look at the Game Boy Color, like a big issue with them is that the speakers go out because they just sort of have these holes in the front and a lot of gunk goes in there. But then when you get to Game Boy Advance and things, the speaker problems they occur a lot less frequently because you can see that they've sort of modified the speaker cage section of the front of the shell and less gunk gets in there. It's kind of
Yeah,
uh,
they had more of like the slots on that
yes,
instead of just the little
exactly,
holes.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's cool.
On average, how often do you think you mess something up in the process of modding and like have to put it in the graveyard?
I would say the thing that I mess up most that is a little bit out of my control it'd be the uh, like loco spidering on the front light Game Boy mods, the Game Boy Color mods. It's
Hmm.
I mean I'm
Oh,
pretty good at getting the glue to dry cure evenly without any bubbles or dust or anything in there, but occasionally a spidering issue occurs and it's just I don't know if I don't know what the variables are. It could be atmospheric. It could be um, distribution of the glue or pressure. I don't know what makes it occur, but it does happen maybe 1 in 7 or I'm pretty good at it, but it does happen unfortunately. It's
and then
weird
when that
when that
happens, is the screen like done for then?
no, it's salvageable, and actually there's a section in the book telling people how to salvage it. You basically have to
Is
sort of
that with the
slice.
baby powder?
No, no.
Oh, okay, okay.
This you have to sort of slice through a layer of glue and then peel the glue off. It's very sort of laborious thing and annoying, but you can salvage your Game Boy Color screen if the Loca does mess up, and you can try it again. But it's annoying as hell. I mean, I have a whole bin full of just messed up screens because it would take forever to peel this stuff off. Interesting tidbit,
Oh,
though. I'll
all
give
right.
you this. I'll give you this scoop. I don't know if any other modders have experienced this, but these shells, these sort of aftermarket plastic shells, they come in a variety of colors. Most of them are translucent. For the Game Boy Color, um, a lot of them are made in China in factories where the specifications are not perfect, and I think
Mm-hmm.
there might be multiple factories or multiple molds where they might cause a imbalance of pressure or something and result in the spidering. But
Hmm.
the translucent red shells for the Game Boy Color are extremely likely to cause a spidering issue. I don't know why that is. We've stopped using them
Whoa.
basically. So every time
Interesting.
someone wants a red shell, we basically like, oh, this is going to cost us 3 Game Boys now because it's just going to inevitably going to spider. I don't know what that is.
Wow.
Huh.
I don't know if
That's
that's
super
interesting,
interesting.
but it's just like
That is interesting.
It is. I would have had like no idea that that was like I figured, they're all made differently in a way, but like I didn't think like specifically one color or one specific kind would cause an
I
issue
don't
more
know
than
what it
another.
is. Yeah, I mean, this is
Huh.
not scientific. This is an anecdotal scenario, but I mean, it just happens with these red ones. I don't know what it is.
It's crazy. It seems like more and more people are becoming knowledgeable about modding Game Boys, and whether it's just one for themselves or making them to sell or like switching out the shells or whatever. So, what made you want to write a book about modding and share the information with the general public rather than keeping your mod secrets to yourself and, trying to keep it in the business?
Um, well, I'm an author. I want to make books. That's what I've always done and always wanted to do. That's my life's pursuit.
Hmm.
So um, I just saw the opportunity to make a book about this, and that's what I did. I mean, it's almost separate from me being a modder. It's like I'm I'm just capable of making a book about modding more than other modders because they don't know how to make books necessarily. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, no, I got that. Yeah, makes sense.
Making books is what I do basically. It was kind of just an obvious thing for me. So, but yeah, I mean, it's
That's cool.
funny. That's what people always jump to is like you're giving away your secrets kind of thing. And I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, I'm all for sharing secrets. This is an open source community that we're dealing with. No starts to publisher. They publish books on coding and hacking, and obviously DIY thing is a very open and inclusive, share the information kind of thing. But I just think of it as
Mhm.
like a cookbook or something like that. I mean, if a restaurant puts out a cookbook, you're still going to go to the restaurant. You're more likely to go to the restaurant because they're famous
Right.
of having put out that book.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I
I'm
agree.
I'm
I think it was really good with that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to build a media empire here. I'm trying to be the Rachel Ray of Game Boys, so it's all just in line with that, basically.
Is that your tagline? 'Cause it should be.
It
I've
should
said it. I've
definitely
said it a
be.
number of times. Yeah, yeah.
That's good. No, I think it does kind of read like a cookbook, you're right, because it almost so I have wanted to try to mod my own Game Boy at one point just because I wanna be like I did it. Um,
Yeah.
but I've always been like, I understand how to take things apart and clean them basically, but when it comes to like the soldering and replacing parts for anything, I've been like, "Oh, no, no, that's too much for me. I don't think I'm going to be able to fit like I don't know anything about it." But the book as I was reading it yesterday and today, it made me want to sit down and have the book open and take the Game Boy out and have the book in front of me like I was making a dinner and do it, step by step, like with the book open in front of me and be like, okay, this, step one, do this. It's really easily, spelled out. You have the tools. Like this is everything you need. It's like very simple and it does read like, anybody can do it like a cookbook. Anybody can make it. All you have to do is follow the directions. So that's kind of cool.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. I mean, yeah, that was the mission all along. I didn't want to have it to be a daunting thing for anybody. And this thing, it's accessible. The book is affordable, and buying the game, like getting started is pretty easy and relatively cheap. It's not real. It costs as much as making a dinner almost.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
no, I'm glad that it's coming off that way. I guess that means I did a good job. I guess so. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
mean, all I was gonna say all the tools that you list, basically almost everybody has that. The things that you probably don't have are like the soldering and
Yeah,
like some people who if you don't already have like a Nintendo key screwdriver, I mean, you should definitely buy one
yeah,
just to have
it's
one
true.
if you
Yeah,
buy games
even
at
yeah,
if you
all.
own a
But
Switch.
yeah,
Yeah, but yeah,
yeah,
I mean, either you can buy it at the drugstore or you can buy it at like Retromodding dedicated parts supply. Like those are your only two places you really need to go for most of the stuff in this book, or like a hardware store. But um,
right.
it's out. It's not special items or anything.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. I think I got my screwdrivers for Game Boys off of eBay for like a few bucks.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
they cost nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I was actually going to ask you when I first talked to you about doing this podcast about the mods that I've tried to do on my Game Boys and failed horribly. But now that I have the book, I think I'm just going to figure it out myself. But I try to do two backlit mods on two different Game Boy Pockets and had two different errors from them where the one lit up fine, the backlit was soldered right, but the Nintendo
Yeah.
symbol on the screen isn't coming down at all
Yeah.
on the one. And then the other one, I think the red light turns on and that's it. Like nothing else.
Yeah.
Um and
Hard to
then
do.
I also it is.
Yeah.
And if you have fat fingers like I do, it's even more difficult.
Oh
But I
well.
even bought a modded Game Boy Pocket from this guy off of eBay that had a really shitty shell. It was like had stickers on it and stuff. And I was like, I just want to swap what he's done and put it in this clear purple Japanese Game Boy Pocket that I have.
Nice.
And I did that and it sort of works, but it doesn't read the cartridge. The Nintendo symbol is pixelated a little
Yeah.
bit.
Like scrambled, right?
Yeah, but hardly scrambled. Like just a few pixels are off and then it doesn't read the cartridge. So I'm guessing it's the actual cartridge reader in it. Just needs cleaned, but I just haven't really messed with it enough. I'm like maybe someday it'll work. So every month I'll like put a new game in it to try it to see if it works. But no dice.
Well, I mean, you can. I mean, obviously, cleaning the cartridge slot is the first step to try. But you can buy sort of dedicated. I mean, I don't know if they still make them. I got them off this website once. They had like a back inventory. They're like they look like Game Boy cartridges, except they're like a little bit taller, and they have a piece of cotton inside where the game, like the PCB, usually is, and
Okay.
you put alcohol on it, and then you just sort of shoot it in and out of the cartridge slot to clean the contacts.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
yeah, they make those. They're definitely good to have if you have a Game Boy and you play it a lot because they do a great job. But I don't know, those pockets are really finicky. So yeah, I mean, people ask me sometimes, they'll buy a mod and they'll be like, we can change the shell, it's all good, right? I'm like, I mean, you can do that, but I you can avoid the warranty. Like I don't advise you do that because it's kind of a weird little balance of stuff in there sometimes, and if you open it up, you
Yeah.
might jiggle a wire loose, and especially the pockets are just so fragile inside. So
So do you have a warranty with your Game Boys?
I would say no. All of our Game
Okay.
Boys. This is the thing. Obviously, everything we sell is 100% guaranteed. We have never had a situation where we couldn't work anything out with someone. Even months later, we got you. No one's ever taken advantage of us. Obviously, we're not like Black and Decker selling toasters or something. We're just a couple of guys.
Yeah.
But
Are you flicking a lighter right now?
oh, sorry, I'm just fidgeting with this.
It's all right.
Um,
It's all right.
uh, yeah, everything's guaranteed, but either it comes back because something got messed up and we fix it, or people enjoy it forever. Basically, these things, like I said, they're very durable. So. Um,
They are, and that's what I've seen off your Etsy website. Like, I'll check out your Etsy, from time to time, and the reviews that you have are phenomenal. Like,
Yeah,
you have great reviews. People are like, if someone had a problem, they're like, Greg was awesome. He was able to fix it. He was able to replace what was broken if something was, and it sounds like your customer
of
service
course.
is at 120%.
You've already published 2 graphic novels and a book of lists, you said. Um, how was writing this Game Boy modding book different than those other ones?
Um, Great question. Um, the main difference with this one is that there's a lot of photographs in it. I've never put photographs in a
I
book
did
before.
notice that.
It's almost,
Yeah.
half of it is just photographs. So, uh, my graphic novels are just straight up hardcore graphic novels with just pages of drawings. And this, that takes a lot of work. So, like, sort of, this book was an attempt to do a little bit less work, I think, um, than drawing every page by hand. But it still
It
presents.
looks like you put so much work into it,
Yeah,
though.
that's my problem is I'm like, "Oh, I'll do this easy thing here," and then I just make it
No.
into so much work for myself no matter what, so,
Dude,
um
it's insane how much work this book looks like it has taken you. I'm just like I'm flabbergasted
Thank
when
you,
I got
thank
it.
you.
I was just like, "Wow, like this is your heart and soul in this,
Oh,
you
thank
know?"
you. Yeah, I really was, and I talked about this a lot, like, in some of the vlogs and stuff. It's tricky. It when you like pour your heart and soul or like put all this effort into this sort of thing, and obviously this was all made in InDesign, just a digital file, right? And it just
Mhm.
sort of is in my head this whole time. Like I know what I want it to look like, and I know how much I've completed and what it does look like. And then leading up till they finally sort of print the book, it's like I'm sort of the only one with this vision in my brain, and it's sort of like driving me crazy because I just want to be able to communicate it to people. But like it's so great now that the book is out and you've seen it, and like we can have this conversation about it, and like really what it is and what it ended up being. And I'm glad that the effort I put into it comes through, because yeah, it's such a freaking pain in the ass to put this shit together.
Yeah, and I noticed I think I saw a story of yours when you first got the book. Like you opened the box, it was your first reaction to it, and you were pissed. I don't
Well,
know if this was a vlog or your story, but you were like, "Oh, this is shit," And I feel like as an artist myself, like I do organic art installations. I have my photography degree. I've done a documentary myself. But when you first like look at something, you're like, God damn it, like I suck. Like why did I even do this?
yeah,
But then your editing, this was a vlog. It must have been a vlog.
yeah, it
But
was,
your
yeah.
editing um was like the next image was you being like, "Oh, I fucking love this." Like it's great. And I'm like, that's perfect. Like this was
Well,
such
because
good editing on your own thing that you're being so critical about, you know?
so yeah, how it is. It's just that that's the thing, is when it exists in your mind only for so long, then when you see it, it
Yeah.
can't ever live up to what you have in your mind, and you're only going to see the flaws. But I got to say this, like I said in the vlog, I mean, I would say that some of the images are printed a little bit dark. Maybe you noticed, or if you saw the digital version, you probably didn't see that because this is just a printing issue. But
Yeah.
the layout came together great. I'm so happy with how this, like you said, it feels really nice. These are things that are a little bit outside of
It
my
feels
control as an
great to the
author.
hand. Like I'm
Yeah.
touching the cover right now.
Yeah, me too. Like, and this, I can't take any credit for that. So good up to the like the printer and whoever chose this paper stock or whatever. I mean, that was definitely a pleasant surprise. But me being so like bummed was merely because, yeah, I flipped it open to like one really dark page, and I was like, all right, it's over.
Of course it's that
Yeah,
page that you flip
yeah,
it open to. No, really, you did a great job with the illustrations, like the comic book illustrations. It's like this is how I'm thinking. It's like, this is how I'm thinking too, being the reader as well. Like, I love the little comic about like your grandma or mom being like, Final Fantasy. There's so many of them. Why is why is it called Final Fantasy? I'm just like, yes, this is great.
Yeah, it's relatable.
Yeah, it's super. So did you choose the black and white images because of pricing, I guess, for the book to like keep it affordable for everyone?
I mean, that's always a major concern of mine. I've been lucky that all of my books are pretty cheap and out there, but uh, it is kind of, I wouldn't say it's a bummer, but these images were just so vibrant and beautiful in color that it would have been awesome
I'm
to
sure
print
they
this in
were, yeah.
color. Yeah. Um, especially like the collecting and all the colors of the shells, and I mean it's a colorful book, but um, yeah, you don't. It's what? How much are people going to spend? Are you going to buy this for $45 and then do some mods with it? Or I mean, the whole point is for you to get dirty with it. I'm not really.
Yeah.
Um, so
It's a craftsman's book right
yeah,
now. But
it's not an art book.
have you thought though about possibly doing like a limited run of a hardcover with all color pictures?
I would love to. And
Because
hey,
I mean
everyone
that's the
listening
way to
right
do it,
now,
and then sell it for 50 or $60.
everyone go buy the book. Let's sell out the first print run, and then if it's a success,
Hell yeah.
who knows what's next. So, but there does seem to be a demand for that. So
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely buy the hardback in color just to have it as a coffee table book, you know?
yeah,
Who doesn't want to learn as like a guest coming to your house, they see that on your coffee table and they're like, "Oh, what's this? Oh, I have a Game Boy." I haven't looked at this Game Boy in years, but sure, I'll look at it and oh wow, I can change shells and backlit mod it. Like, wow. You know, it's a seller in itself.
yeah.
You gotta have a good coffee table book.
It's
Gotta
Yeah.
have it.
And this is a great coffee table book. Even like I'm not downplaying that it's in black and white. I think it it's at a great price. What is it? $25 for
yeah,
the book?
yeah,
And then you also get the ebook for
yeah,
free right now.
yeah.
I mean, everyone should buy that then.
Yeah,
Everyone
I
should
agree.
buy it.
Everyone.
Every single person. Everybody's going to be modding Game Boys.
And it's cool. It's cool to
Yeah.
have a cool book about video games. That's like a mission of mine. Especially like I never set out to be a guy who makes books about video games. I have other concerns as an adult, but like I'm happy to do it. And if I can contribute sort of quality, artistic, individual, like unique reading experiences that appeal to a gaming audience, then I'm happy to do that, and I'm happy to contribute to like quality gaming books library. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think you did a great job. I was actually looking up Game Boy modding on podcasts and I could not find anything
There you go.
as a podcast. I was like, I can't wait to publish this, because now if anyone looks for it, they'll be able to find ours then.
Game Boy modding is a big. There's a lot of YouTube videos about it, but yeah, that's cool. There should be. We should make more podcasts about it. I think.
Exactly. At least get people interested in it in a listening
Right.
way. So I looked up how many Game Boys collectively, like pockets, colors, all that. I don't think Game Boy Advances, but Game Boy, the rectangle version
Yeah.
of the Game
Uh-huh.
Boy DMG pocket colors were made. 119 million were sold worldwide. Do you think modding has a finite end because there are only so many Game Boys that are out there and so many people are buying them now and modding them themselves?
Great question. I mean, that's another question that I've sort of considered myself, and it's interesting that you do know that number up front. I mean, that's a big number.
It's a huge number.
It's a huge number. So, I mean, at the end of the day, what can you do? I mean, if that does happen, if the supply dries up internationally, don't forget the huge Japanese market. But
Exactly.
the price will go up, and it is what it is, and maybe this can't last forever. I mean, I'm not expecting to do this when I'm 75, but like maybe there are finite, resources for this kind of thing. But 120 million is a huge number. If they can satisfy the demand of gamers who want it at the time that it's, an active system, then I think that they can satisfy the existing used Game Boys that are out there can satisfy the demand of everyone who wants to try modding or just have a uh, Game Boy in their collection. I mean, there's just so many of them, and I guess whatever happens. I mean, it like me, like I have to be concerned about it. But there's this is such a huge hobby right now that there are companies who have invested a lot more than I have in the future of Game Boy modding, and I don't know. I just think 120 million is a big enough number. That's all. It's huge.
It is a big enough number, but there could be someone out there that invests a lot of money into buying all the Game Boys,
That would be quite a
which is
nefarious.
a weird. It would
That's some
suck.
That's some Doctor Evil shit or something like that.
That's like the worst possible Batman villain I could think of.
Yeah,
The
right.
guy
He
The
who
just
man
buys
that
all the
buys
Game Boys.
all the Game Boys.
escapes from Arkham Asylum and just decides to buy every Game Boy. That's terrible. Please
Yeah.
put him away.
So when you first started your first mod to now, present day, how have you seen the price fluctuate when it comes to the actual Game Boys that you are buying?
That's a good question. It's gone up very, in the last 2 months. We were getting, you know, a big part of the job. Like you asked me how many hours, but a big part of it is sourcing these Game Boys. Um,
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
it's kind of it's true. It's the only sort of finite resource that we have, and yeah, since international shipping has been affected due to global situations,
Yep.
it's been a little bit trickier to get them. Um, but I still think I think the real thing is that if you spend enough time on eBay and just refresh the page enough, you'll still be able to get them for cheap. Um,
Yeah.
but I still think $20 to $40 is a normal price. 40 bucks would be sort of
Yeah, and
high.
Mhm.
$40 is so expensive too. Yeah, it's so expensive, but that's what I'm seeing them sell for now. I'm like, Jesus. Like, because I remember buying Game Boys all the time for 20 bucks and then,
Mhm.
just flipping them for 30 and making 10 bucks and being like, all right, cool.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's
I think it's like
it's
everything
crazy.
else. Yeah, the
And the
market
price is just going to keep
fluctuates.
going up. Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
interesting because like you know our dad is sort of he sells I guess you could say retro collectibles, vintage toys, and things like that. And he's
Mhm.
Oh, does he?
always yeah. So, but his sort of timeline ends in the sort of 70s, I guess. Um, but the he's always telling us about the baseball card market, because he's lived through this. We're here being like, oh, Pokemon's going up. We're seeing the market fluctuate. Super Nintendo games are very valuable, and like boxed games are blah blah blah. Especially if you're on Instagram or you go on price charting or eBay, you can see the market does fluctuate, and it's doing pretty good right now. But yeah, he's always telling us about sort of how the baseball card market was, and it's 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 all good until it just crashes. It could happen any day. Um, so
Yeah.
you got to diversify.
I think the thing with video games though that's going to keep the market up is that it's something that you can actually play and use on top of just collecting. Um, so there's collectors that collect new in box sealed games or systems or whatnot, and then there's collectors that want to play their games too. So it has more of that interaction than just trading a baseball card and looking at the baseball card and being like, all right, cool. This is Ken Griffey or
Yeah.
whatever, Bo Jackson card. Like, I looked at it. Now I'm going to put it back into its sleeve, into this binder. Done. Well,
But
no, it's like I want to play. I want to play Trip World. That's a Japanese exclusive game that only 2,000 copies were made, and the cartridge itself is $400 fucking. But I'm buying it to play it.
right. But you could also compare it to comic books where you buy them to read them. I mean, people are like comic books. You
Yes.
you
Okay.
slab
Yes.
them
You're
on.
right. Yeah.
Like they're even getting into slabbing video games. Where they just lock them in that pristine box forever with a grade on them. I mean,
I
so
know. I've been
but
thinking about doing it for some of my sealed
yeah.
GameCube
So
games, and I'm like, I don't know. Should I?
on the other hand, like you could probably get a good grade and a good value on those. But that's the thing. I mean, I think Pokemon Yellow, Red, Blue, or whatever. Even digital versions are not really going to affect the price of the original cartridge too much. They're always going to be a good, like they're always going to sell well and be desirable. But like whatever $700, $400 games we have, that is such a sort of that price is here today,
Too
gone
high.
tomorrow. Yeah, yeah. The prices are meaningless. They're based on nothing, and it could crash for that high value stuff. It could crash at any time. Who knows? And a lot of those games are obscure, and it's just going to be like, you know, once everyone has them who wants them, then they're not going to be worth that much anymore. It's you know,
Yeah, I mean, once emulation works for every system that's been out there, I think that's what makes prices go down a lot.
well, yeah,
Like I
Nintendo's
have
working
been
hard on that,
holding.
right?
What do
Yeah.
you
Although
mean?
I mean,
they
they've
they
got
put out
Oh, yeah, yeah,
their online stuff.
yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
But then again, I mean, they put out Pokemon Crystal. Like you can download that and play it right on the eShop, and that's still one of the highest priced,
Hmm.
like regular sort of Game Boy Color games. I don't know what it's at now, but I remember easily selling it for $40 or $45, maybe a year ago or something.
Hmm.
Which is crazy because I remember that game being the highest one, 2-3 years ago, and
Yeah,
it still only being 20 or $25 game. But now, yeah, now I see it being sold at 45-50, and I'm like, whoa,
yeah.
when did this happen? Like
I think the digital
the
stuff just makes people
prices
want the
for
original stuff more.
do
Yeah.
you? Okay. Yeah, maybe.
Well, I
And on
mean,
it,
you look at right now. It's a great example. Is the new Animal Crossing came out, and that original GameCube shot up like double the price. I
Yeah.
guarantee
yeah.
you, the same thing is going to happen. They just announced the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater
Oh
1 and
yeah.
2 remake, which I am so excited for. But that is for another
Yeah.
time. Um, I guarantee Tony Hawk 1 and 2, on any system is going to skyrocket in price now in the
Yeah.
next couple of
Definitely.
months, definitely once that comes out. So that's one thing that you can see. Usually, when the remake comes out, yes, everybody loves it
Yeah.
and they're excited for it or whatever it may be, but they want the original and that price goes up.
I
Yeah.
didn't see the news about Tony Hawk. Is that
Oh
Activision
Dude,
really?
that's
how
doing
could
it?
you miss
Everybody is
How
talking
could you
Is
about
it?
miss
that. That is the
I'm gonna
biggest
I'm
thing
I
right
gonna
now.
work.
inundate
I work and I'm off my phone all
I'm
day.
gonna
Like,
inundate you with links tonight. Don't worry.
okay, well,
After
I
this
checked my okay, I checked my email and I saw that Paper Mario
That
Mhm.
looks cool
Origami
too.
King
Yeah,
Yeah.
is the new game that's
yeah.
coming for the Switch,
They
and I'm
just announced
so
that
hype
today.
about that
Yeah,
because
me
I've
too.
played every Paper Mario. The only one that I didn't beat was the one for the 3DS, the sticker one.
Sticker Star.
But I
Yeah.
was close to it,
Mhm.
like I could go back to it. But all the other ones I've played through and loved, even the Wii U one that
I
people
did love
hate.
that one. That was good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm super pumped
yes,
for that.
let's we
I'm so pumped for it. Yeah.
we've been talking about the collection piece now. So, do you talk about collecting for the Game Boy obviously in the book, but like how is your Game Boy collection? Do you have a lot of stuff or Like, is it not mostly Game Boy related, like your personal video game collection? What's it like?
I don't have a personal video game collection.
Okay.
I own 2
That's
Game
fair too.
Boys. Yeah, I have one Game Boy. This is like the first one I modded that has some defects, so I can't really sell it. I have another one that was a gift to me, and I have like a couple PlayStation 4 games. I think that you have to. I think part of being like in the sort of business side of this is that you got to just purge everything.
No,
Yeah.
I get that.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah,
You can't
I
hold
think it's
on to
fun
it.
though because yeah, having the business where um, you can acquire stuff and you can own it briefly and experience it, but then pass it on is sort of kind of the best solution, I think. So yeah, although I come from a big collecting family, so I don't know if this is like a reaction. And I have collections, I have a lot of records and books and stuff, but um,
Mhm.
I don't keep my video game collection because what happens to me is that I get anxiety that they're devaluing too quickly, and I just feel like they're
Mhm.
like it's like a hot potato, like it's a ticking time bomb. I try to get rid of it
Yeah,
before I lose too much money on it.
I can see that.
Interesting.
I've seen so many games that I'm like, "Oh, I had that and I sold it, like last year because I wasn't playing it or whatever, and it's like triple the price now." And I'm like, "Damn
Yeah.
it! Like, what was I doing? Why didn't I hold on to it?" Like
Yeah.
whatever. And so I can see how that
But
is
then
like a thing if you're sitting
there's
on
like
it and it's
every
cash.
PlayStation 4 game is like the most worthless thing ever. So I mean, if you're talking about first party Nintendo
Yes,
games,
but
like PlayStation 4 games are
in
just
10 years though.
no, they're no. I think PlayStation is just like it's $60 for a week, and then 2 months later it's worth $5.
Yeah,
It's
you
just
should never buy a new PlayStation game
yeah.
ever. You should just wait 2 months before, like, after it's out and then buy it.
Yeah, like Death Stranding right now, they're giving it
Yeah,
away on the eShop. It's like nothing.
I believe it.
Didn't we not predict that?
I mean,
I'm pretty
Yeah,
obviously
I
it
sure.
was
did,
gonna
and then
happen. Yeah,
I still bought it. Yeah, I still bought it, and I think I got mine for 50 or $40, like a month after it came out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still need to finish it.
Yeah. Oh well.
So going back to Game Boy, what's your favorite
yeah.
game to play on the Game Boy?
All right, let me see. I get asked this a lot,
I bet.
and my answer typically, I'm going to give you a different answer than I usually give here. Hold on. I like I well, this is kind of why I like DS and PSP because those games are just more fun. A lot of Game Boy games are not that much fun, but a lot of some of the
Yeah.
charm,
No, it's true.
a lot. It's true.
I
It's
don't
true.
know
They're
about
too
that.
primitive. Yeah, but I think a lot of the charm of them is not so much in the gameplay, but in the graphics and the music. And
Yeah.
um, you know, it's cool to play them on the original hardware because then you get the more authentic sound experience from these things coming out of like the real soundboard and speaker and stuff. And I
Hmm.
I don't know if you've ever played this game Penguin Wars.
No.
Um. Oh, I was gonna say, dang, never mind. I was gonna say, I think I just bought that game, but no, I bought Amazing Penguin. But
Oh,
I
different.
think I've heard of Penguin Wars. Yeah.
It's basically like dodgeball or something like that, and you play against the computer and you just sort of throw these balls back and forth. It's fun, it's cute, but it has this really awesome menu music, and it's just this sort of like 2-minute song, and I don't know, it's like one of my favorite songs, and sometimes I'll just let it play and like listen to it on my Game Boy. So
I'm buying it right
that's my
now.
favorite game. I'm
It's
telling you.
already been bought.
Those chiptune songs, they changed it. That was gameplay
Yeah.
makes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But gameplay wise, I like the Batman game.
That's good. It's a good game.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. It's weird because he has a gun and he shoots everybody in it.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting because that's not really Batman's style.
It's not what he does. Yeah.
But they had to make it work for the Game Boy, so they gave him a gun. Oh well. And also your book kind of talked about it too, but the Game Boy had a ton of weird accessories and cases in its lifetime, from the DMG to the, even the micro. And as like somebody who focuses on mostly collecting for Game Boy, I have seen a lot of these in person, or research them. So it was cool to see them come up in your book as well. But what do you think is one of your like favorite accessories, either you've seen in buying Game Boys or just in general that you've learned about?
Well, I really like this this one case that has this sort of black lining with this orange inside. But the like, back to the thing about aesthetics, the Game Boy fanny pack. Have you ever seen these in full color?
Oh, I have one.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
you
one,
have
the
one?
black with the pink lines. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I saw it and I was like buying it, and not for a Game Boy, just like purely for like going to the grocery store and
Right. It's a
like,
dope fanny pack.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. Yes.
I and remember how when fanny packs were like, they came back last year a little bit? Everyone was wearing them?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Oh
No.
yeah. Oh,
Maybe
big
in New
time.
York.
Big
No,
time.
people
Maybe
have been
only in New
wearing
York. I think that
like
was the
even kids
ultimate.
were
Yeah.
wearing
Yeah, it was a big thing. Yeah.
them. Yeah. It
Um,
was weird. Yeah, I think that one's pretty cool. There's one I don't know if you've seen, but I saw it and it was one of those things where it came up like on eBay while I was like looking for other Game Boy stuff, and I was like, holy crap, I'm buying that. And it is, I think this is like my favorite like accessory that's an actual piece of, like technology to use for it. It was for the original Game Boy Advance, and you would plug it in to the back, and it was a light for your screen. Only it wasn't like a worm light, like where you bend it and stuff like that, or a flip light or whatever. It would just sit up on top and shine down, but it was in the shape of a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
What?
Yes. So I have this Game Boy light, and I bought it on eBay because I couldn't find a loose one. It was brand new in packaging. It was made by Intex, so it was like one of those like third party, accessories.
Well, that's a good company.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm breaking this thing out of the clamshell tonight, and it's this little tiny, I mean, he's probably a couple inches tall, purple T-Rex, and you just plug him in and he shines the light down.
Hell yeah.
So that's probably my favorite Game Boy accessory.
That's super cool.
That's
I don't know what
definitely
mine would
wild.
be, honestly.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we all had the
Yeah,
You can
worm
find the
lights,
weirdest
right?
shit. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm thinking is the worm light, or like the speakers on the DMG that like fold out that are all
You
crazy
had
looking.
like, you could stack that thing so it was like a whole foot thick, like, of accessories on the
I
DMG.
know.
You could have like a light and a magnifier, and like could raise
Yeah,
the
it's so
buttons and the
ridiculous.
speakers, and it was just all of a sudden it turned into like a transformer, and I don't know.
Yeah.
It was crazy
Yeah.
how much you could
Well,
throw on
but
that thing.
that's the thing that's like, I sort of compare it to the iPod in the book a little bit, and um, everyone sort of, or like Steve Jobs sort of hated the idea of people putting a case or any accessory onto his phones or anything like that. It's just, they were just
Mhm.
meant to be as they are. And
Yeah, until you fucking drop it.
well, yeah, obviously, because it's ultimately they are poorly designed. Like, my mouse has a charging port
Yeah, they're
in the
poorly
bottom
made.
of it for some reason. But the Game Boy is the same way. It's like, you don't need all these sort of doohickeys. It's kind of perfect on its own,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
except for the
I agree.
fact that it doesn't have a
And
backlit
definitely,
screen until now.
exactly, and that's what I was going to say. Yeah, like the best thing in my adulthood life is going back to the Game Boy with a backlit or a frontlit screen. But backlit is the way to go. Like honestly, if you don't know, you need to know, and you need to just like look up a YouTube video to be like, all right, this is what frontlit looks like, which is nice. Okay, cool. But backlit, wow, I can actually see every goddamn color in this fucking game now. Like, if you're playing a Game Boy Color game, you can see all the colors, and you're like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
this is great.
It's definitely
But yeah,
a kind of a mind blowing experience. I think so. Yeah.
it really is.
Yeah, I agree. The first time I played on literally any sort of lit screen on a Game Boy, it was like, damn, I this is exactly what I needed to restore that like childhood nostalgia of sitting and
Right.
playing the Game Boy for hours when I couldn't care less if the screen was lit or not because
Right.
Yeah.
I was 10 years old and my eyes were in prime condition, but now they're
Yep.
not.
Not anymore.
Nope.
So you talked about how playing Game Boy is extremely conducive for your lifestyle living in New York. How long have you lived in New York?
I've been here for 13 years
Okay.
in Brooklyn. I'm from Long Island, so I've lived in New York my whole life, but in the city I've lived here for 13 years.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
That's cool. It's a good I mean, New York is a good spot. I'm not like a city person, but
Yeah.
visiting, I have family in New York and stuff like that. It's always like something when you go into the
Right.
city, and it's cool that like, that's your life. And I don't know, you've got like weird shit going on every day and you're like, it's just Tuesday, what, no big deal. So
Yeah.
props to that.
City life.
Right.
Yeah.
So like where do you see yourself in like 10 years, say? Like you think you will still be modding at the pace that you are now?
Well, I mean, 10 years. Shit, I'm gonna be 45 in 10 years.
Oh wow.
uh, yeah.
I thought you were younger than me. Okay.
Yeah. People think I'm younger, but no, I'm a 35-year-old adult man. So, um, but I would, if my life continued the way it is as far as making money and doing mods and whatever for the next 10 years, I don't think I would complain about that. Um, obviously there's factors that we've talked about. Who knows what's going to happen with the market, but um,
Right.
no, I mean, I want to be an author. I mean, I am an author. I want to have a career where I can support myself as an author. You know, this, like the sort of like slick answer to a question like, why would you want to give away your secrets, is like, well, I'm the one who published the book, so I'm only really ruining it for everyone else. Like I
Yeah.
want to use this as a way to build my career as an author, and like I said, I'm happy to do that for the gaming community. I mean, I have a love for gaming. I have an appreciation of gaming, and I know how to communicate to gamers, and I know how to introduce uh, a more um, just sophisticated aesthetic maybe than they're used to, and yeah, I want to make books. I like making books, so I see myself in 10 years still making books. And if it's books about gaming, that's fine. I mean, I have ideas for sequels to the Game Boy modding books. So I mean, it all just
Good.
depends on how this kind of thing goes.
Right. And I hope it goes well for you. I mean, it's
And I think it will.
yeah.
Thank you.
I think you're killing it, Greg. You did great with this book. You're doing great with your mods. You're interacting with everyone on a customer level to working with other artists to make even crazier, cooler looking mods and shells and all that. So yeah, keep it up. Like we'll all be supporting you
Oh,
all the
thanks.
way.
Yeah,
That means
yeah,
so
for sure.
much. Yeah, and I couldn't have done it without the support. Like, obviously this is all an Instagram sort of community. Everyone always likes to call it the retro gaming community. Uh,
Yeah.
there's different retro gaming communities on the internet. Like there's Reddit ones. I don't really go on Reddit, but the one on Instagram is the one that I sort of came up with. And there's a couple people on there who we all started around the same time, and now like things are really uh, going strong for us. And not only do we have like a good following, but we have a good like engagement with the people, and we're building something from it, and um, it's beneficial to us and everyone at the same time. So like it's cool that people can
Yeah.
turn it into something that can help people, at the very least, find some cool games that they want, and this other guy can get a sandwich out of it. Like, so like it's not a big deal, but it's cool that there's a sort of an ecosystem where this can happen, and I definitely am appreciative of that ecosystem, and I definitely came up in it, and like it's very cool, and I encourage, like I said, everyone to get friendly, and like anyone, I'm happy to talk to anyone. Anyone can reach out to me, and uh,
Yeah.
it's always cool to talk to people, and that's
Same.
obviously like
Yeah.
what I hope for with this book. It's just to grow that sort of community with people and get people involved in something cool and positive and constructive, and give them confidence to be able to do things on their own. And it is what it is. So yeah, that's definitely a cool thing from all this.
The book is great. Game Boy modding. A beginner's guide to Game Boy mods, collecting, history, and more. Is that the full title?
Yeah.
Okay, I love it.
By Greg
It's
Farrell
Game Boy
at
modding.
Game
Yeah.
Changer Mods. Yeah.
Yeah. So where can people buy the book?
If you want the book right now, ASAP, go to nostarch.com/GameBoy Mod, and just go to nostarch.com. It's on there. That's the publisher. They're shipping it out right now. Due to like COVID and stuff, um, Amazon and some other of the larger distributors are getting it a little bit later. If you did order it on
Okay.
Amazon, I think it's going to start shipping in like 10 days or maybe a week or something. So it's not too long, but the publisher's shipping it now. I mean, go buy it, nostarch.com. They have it, and they have discounts, and they do humble bundles and stuff all the time. So like the book is going to be out and available for anyone who wants it worldwide. And hopefully bookstores
Cool.
will open up soon, and it'll be there and people can see it and discover it for themselves. That's what I'm all about.
It's a great book, and it's only $25 right now on that website, right?
Yep.
And you get the ebook. So even if you have to wait, you can look at the ebook,
Yep.
on your cell phone or laptop or whatever during those 7 to 10 days or
Oh
whatever
yeah.
it takes to ship it to you.
Or even if you're, working on your Game Boy and you get stuck, you don't want to get that book
Yep.
out, you can just open up your ebook on your phone.
True
It's right there.
story.
Yep.
Super
Yeah.
easy. Super easy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing it. Your Instagram is gamechanger_mods,
Yep.
and your Etsy is what?
Etsy.com, Game Changer Mods. Some of them have the underscore, some of them don't. YouTube has the
Okay.
underscore. Just I'm Game Changer Mods, wherever you go.
Yeah, just look it up. Yeah, on Google, just look it up.
Just
Yeah.
Google it.
Well,
And
we really appreciate having you on, Greg.
hey, I appreciate you having me. That was a great time.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. You're doing great things for the community and really making good quality product,
Oh,
which all
thanks.
of us collectors and gamers want. We want something that's gonna last as long as we last, and be able to play on it, and be proud of what we own. So we appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks. I appreciate all you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's super informative. Like I said, I look forward to giving it a shot now that I feel like I have the tools to do it in front of me. So we'll see how it goes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let me know. I can't wait to know.
So before we sign off, we do have a giveaway going on where it's a mystery box of goodness of video games. Greg, I want to kick it off to you. Can you give us a secret code that people have to DM Precisely Podcasts on Instagram? The secret code, just name any word or words together, and that'll be the secret code.
Mod Dem Boys.
Mod Dem Boys.
Yeah, with a Z.
You heard it here. All right, with the Z. Mod Dem Boys. DEM.
Yep.
Cool. Follow us at Precisely Podcast on Instagram. You can follow me at Bose_Game Room. Kelly, you are at Highway to Cal.
That is it.
And you can go to our website, precisely.live. And that's about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, social media is what it is, and
Yeah.
follow us there.
Cool. Well, thank you again, Greg.
Thanks.
Yes,
yeah.
thanks.
Have fun.
It was good talking to you.
Bye-bye.
We out.
We out.